In the opening game of this three-game series, Bronson Arroyo dazzled Colorado with 8 shutout innings. It was 1-0 until the 8th inning, and Jay Bruce sent one into orbit. A 2-run home run to make it 3-0 Cincinnati. And then 3 the number. Strikeouts in the 9th inning by Aroldis Chapman, and the Reds win the opener of this series. So here we are tonight at Great American Ballpark on an absolutely perfect night. It's the only way to describe it. Game 2 of this three-game series, Reds and the Rockies. And the Reds and St. Louis Cardinals both came away winners last night. So going into play tonight, a 2.5 game spread. The Reds remain behind St. Louis, where the Cardinals coming to town beginning Friday. And welcome to Bowtie Tuesday. Hi again, everybody. Alongside Chris Welsh, I'm Tom Brenneman. Welcome, as always, to Reds baseball. Bronson Arroyo last night. It really doesn't make any difference, Chris. Most nights, which Red starter you're talking about, they have just been unbelievable.
Well, you're right about that. Since Homer Bailey last touched the ball in Cleveland, they have pitched with 0.64 earned run average overall. And the Red starters really are leading the way. They set the pace of the ball game. You've got Johnny Cueto back off the disabled list. You've got strong arms everywhere you look. And this is really the key and the calling card of this ball club is their starting pitching.
Take a look at where the Reds rank statistically compared to other rotations all over Major League Baseball. Look at the ERA. That's second only to St. Louis. 5th in strikeouts, 3rd in quality starts, and I know you pay a lot of attention to whip.
Well, I certainly do. That's walks and hits divided by innings pitched right there, and it just gives you an indication of how much a pitcher pitches in trouble. Well, the Reds are not in trouble very much, at least their starters aren't, and they hope that's going to be the case for Homer Bailey tonight. He was in trouble his last time out, that against the Cleveland Indians, but if he watched Bronson Arroyo last night, you got to figure maybe he learned a little bit about getting that breaking ball over. This is a very good hitting ball club. They're a good fastball hitting ball club. In fact, before last night, they scored 7 runs in each of the last 2 ball games. So they're a tough team to shut out. Homer Bailey's going to have to pitch his best game tonight.
Looking forward to it. We know you are too. We'll talk more about the Thunder in this Colorado lineup when we return. You're watching Reds baseball on Fox Sports Ohio.
of the Cincinnati Reds. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds.
A simply spectacular weather day in Cincinnati. What about the rest of the night for the Reds and the Rockies? We check in with John Gum.
All right, I felt underdressed last night. Tonight, I dressed up for you. Weather looks excellent. We're going to be a little warmer for this game. Mid-70s for the first pitch, upper 60s by the final out. Clear skies, beautiful weather. Let's hope for another Reds W. Enjoy the game right here on Fox Sports Ohio.
On that, but they better slow down Michael Kadire in the middle of this Colorado lineup.
Well, Bronson Arroyo figured out a way to slow them all down last night, but this is a very good hitting lineup, so don't be misled by the zeros that Arroyo put on the board against the Rockies. These guys can score runs, and a lot of them. They came into this series having scored more runs than the Reds, in fact, more than anybody else in the National League. They hit through and through the lineup. They've got power, and let's hope that Homer Bailey's hitting his spots, because that is one certain way to try to work your way through this rocky terrain. Dexter Fowler, Carlos Gonzalez, Troy Tulowitzki, Mike Kadire. Those are the four guys in this lineup that do the most damage.
All righty. Dusty Baker's Redlegs are set to go. Trying to make it back-to-back wins over the Rockies. One more go tomorrow night before the Cards come in Friday. Brought to you by the Ford F-Series trucks, a best-selling truck in America 36 straight years. By Cincinnati USA Regional Tourism Network. Book your stay at CincinnatiUSA.com. And by Skyline Chili. If you're feeling good, that means it's Skyline time. Look at that little fella, Chris. He came ready to roll today.
Hey, there's plenty of room on the bow tie bandwagon. I got you on board tonight. The Reds have been pretty good over the last few years. On Tuesday, we've got another bow tie Tuesday version tonight.
Take a look at Colorado's batting order. Fowler, LeMahieu into the two-hole playing third tonight, followed by Carlos Gonzalez. Tulowitzki, Kadire, Helton in the middle with Torre Alba catching. Jonathan Herrera the nod at second. And Juan Nicasio, we'll talk more about him later on the mound. And starting it for the Redlegs is Homer Bailey.
Despite getting bounced around a little bit last time against the Indians, his last time out up in Cleveland, his earned run average is still very good. He doesn't walk too many. He strikes out a lot. He's kept the ball in the ballpark and really should have more than 3 wins to his record so far this year. The Reds are looking for another solid start like Arroyo gave them last night, and Homer Bailey is capable.
Homer Bailey has not faced Colorado since 2011, and obviously a very different pitcher then than he is now, and that is strike one, says a home plate umpire, and the crew chief Gary Cederstrom. We're underway. Dexter Fowler quickly behind 0-2. A 286 batter is Fowler. 10 home runs, 24 runs batted in. Kerwin Danley is not with this umpiring crew tonight after leaving the game last night following getting hit on a pitch in the dirt that came up, hit him in a face mask. He had a concussion already this year, and so they're going to give him a little bit of time to try and regroup. Lance Barrett has joined this umpiring crew, and he's out at second base tonight. Vic Carapaz at first base, and over at third, Lance Barksdale. Long look in for Bailey. 2-2 on Dexter Fowler. And a high fly ball, well hit into left center field, but in the bright sunshine, it's Donald Lutz. One out. We take a look at the Reds defensively, presented by your Ford dealers. We've already seen one change the Reds have tonight. In fact, it is the only change of the starting lineup from last night, and that's Lutz rather than Xavier Paul in left field. Bailey made one start in 2008 against Colorado. He made a pair of them in 2009 and two in 2011. But really, it was the back half of that 2011 season when Bailey began to turn the corner. And his last outing against them, he went 7 2/3, allowed only one run, and that game was in Denver at Mile High altitude. One ball, two strikes on DJ LeMahieu. Started the game last night at second base and replaces Nolan Arenado down at third base tonight. Same way started Dexter Fowler, got ahead 0-2, went to 2-2, and then was able to put him away on that break-even pitch. He looks to do the same on LeMahieu. Full count.
Well, they'll see the same velocity out of Homer Bailey now that the Rockies did back in 2011. But what they will see is a guy who doesn't have to really rear back and try to throw hard. It just comes out of his hand very easily now.
Well, he just chewed him up in with a 93-mile-per-hour fastball, and that's out number 2 on a throw from Frazier.
In fact, you say it was a turning point for Homer Bailey, and it really was, because when he got that start against the Rockies back in 2011, it was late in the year, and that was when Homer Bailey last came off the disabled list. He was placed on the disabled list with a right shoulder sprain in May, and then he was on the disabled list about a month. He missed about 30 games or so, but when he came back in late 2011, he has stayed healthy and healthy ever since, and that's one of the main reasons why he is a much better pitcher now.
So now Carlos Gonzalez, 309 batter, 14 home runs and 36 runs batted in. Gonzalez had 2 of the 4 Colorado hits last night. You may remember he put down that bunt against the big defensive shift his first time up, then banged one into center field for a single in the 4th inning. That one hooked down the line and bending foul.
And it got out ahead of a changeup right there, and Bailey may think he got away with one right there, because you want the hitter out ahead of your changeup, but you don't want to be able to let him elevate it like that. And that's a splitter, and you see the spin on the splitter when sometimes Homer throws that split finger fastball. It'll come in there like a knuckleball. Not a lot of spin at all.
One ball, one strike on Gonzalez. And just off the outside corner. Gonzalez, originally an Arizona Diamondback, was traded to Oakland in the Dan Herron deal. Oakland traded him to Colorado for Matt Holliday. You may remember a couple of years ago he was running really a three-horse race with Joey Votto and Albert Pujols in 2010 as to which player would be the National League's most valuable player, and of course we know how that turned out. Well, this guy is the entire package. Hits for power, good average, can run, can field, won a pair of Gold Gloves, and an excellent arm. 3-2 on Gonzalez.
Good old country fastball right there. Homer Bailey got down 3 balls and a strike, had to dial up a fastball, and not only did he throw it hard, but he threw it to a nice spot.
3 balls, 2 strikes. Came right back with another fastball. That went a little brisker at 94.
Not an easy time of day to see. We've said this many times here at Great American Ballpark. When it's sunny and you hit the month of June, you've got this background that hitters have to try to pick that ball up out of. You can pick the ball up, but very tough to pick up the spin. This ballpark, one of those unusual ballparks with the way they actually configured the field according to the compass, and left field is the sun field. Normally right field is the sun field. As the sun goes down, it's normally always in the eyes of the right fielder. Here at Great American Ballpark, to fit it onto the piece of land they put it on, they face it this way.
Yeah, it's one of only about, what, 2 ballparks that face the southeast, if I'm not mistaken. There's a 2-out walk in the inning to Gonzalez. So you got to keep an eye on him over at first base. 12 out of 13 in stolen base attempts. And this is an aggressive Colorado team in terms of running the bases. They will put guys in motion pretty regularly, or at least against combinations, as we talked about last night, where they like their chances of success. They have 46 stolen bases. That's 20 more than the Reds. They've been thrown out 10 times. 0-1 on Tulowitzki.
There's a getting loose swing right there.
Tulowitzki, the first-round leader in the clubhouse among all shortstops in the National League in the fan voting for the upcoming All-Star game. Of course, on the right side of the infield, the Reds have the leaders at both positions, Brandon Phillips and Joey Votto. Brandon got out and took a little batting practice earlier today. They told you that during Reds Live. He just blew Tulowitzki away on 3 straight fastballs. 1 walk in the inning, 1 left in the inning. Reds coming up for the first time. It's Juan Nicasio. And let's take a look at Dusty Baker's starting lineup. Shin-Soo Choo, Zach Cozart, Joey Votto. Jay Bruce again in the cleanup spot with Brandon Phillips again out of the lineup. Todd Frazier at third, and Big Donald Lutz out in left field. Out of third, and Brian Hannigan, Cesar Turris, and Homer Bailey. Nicasio 4-2, his 12th start of the year.
Not too bad at all for Juan Nicasio. In fact, the fact that he is standing on a pitching mound right now is really a wonder, given the fact that we'll talk about it as we go through the ball game, that this young man was hit in the head by a line drive a couple of years ago. When he fell from the impact of that line drive, he fell down and he broke his neck. So it's been a long road back for Nicasio to finally get back on a major league mound. Still a young guy, just only about 25 years old. I think about 26 years old. Fastball, sliders, and changeup is primarily what the Reds will see out of his right arm tonight. And we talked about that Sunfield being left field. Carlos Gonzalez, the Rockies left fielder, just found out that it is the Sunfield. He took one look up as Nicasio was taking his warm-up pitches and said, whoa, wait a minute, the sun is in my eyes. I'm not used to that here in left field. So he went in to get some flip downs, and looks like we're ready to go.
Shin-Soo Choo, a .279 batter, 10 home runs and 20 runs batted in. He'll start things for the Reds here in the first inning. And it's strike one on the outside corner. Nicasio allows a hit per inning. He's given up 8 home runs in his 56 innings. And you saw the number, the league batting .257 against him. He had a pair of very good starts in a row up until his last outing against Houston, when in 5 innings he allowed 7 outs and 5 runs. What's gotten into that Houston team? They just swept the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim 4 games in a row.
Depends how you pose that question. What's gotten into the Angels of Anaheim?
That's the one being more frequently asked.
Exactly.
Apparently Mike Scioscia closed the door. They all gathered after the game, and apparently Albert Pujols came out smiling and saying, we got a long way to go. That ball in the air hit hard, deep left center field, and it is up against the wall. And that will be double number 13 for Shin-Soo Choo, and that's the way it starts in the Reds' opening inning. Be nice to see him get it going again.
Well, he has been kind of a rough spot lately. He got up to such a tremendous start. We'll take a look at that slow motion swing. He keeps it so simple. Nicasio was peppering those low outside fastballs on him the entire at bat. Finally got to a 2-2 count and went with it.
Let's check in for more on Shin-Soo Choo quickly with Big Jim Day.
To start the season, fans are always interested in the players' walk-up song. Well, it was Paris by Jay-Z and Kanye West to begin the season, and then Shin-Soo Choo hit a rough spot in the season, and Jay Bruce said, you know what, I'm going to change your song, and he changed it to Gangnam Style.
Yes.
Done by a South Korean artist. And Choo today said, you know what, it's not really helping me. I'm going to go back to the song Paris by Jay-Z and Kanye West, and apparently it worked with the double.
Wow, how about that? And of course, the shame in all of that is we were on the brink, Chris, of talking in Jim Day and Jeff Pecoro to doing the Gangnam Style dance during the pregame show, because you and I said that we would do it if they would do it.
Well, looks like we'll have to put that idea on hold for a while. Meanwhile, while we take dance lessons.
0-2 to Cozart, and he strikes out. Boy, that has been a common occurrence here the last couple of days for Cozart. Struck out 3 times last night.
Well, strikeouts don't necessarily hurt you. It's when you strike out that hurts you.
So look at Colorado defensively, presented by your Ford dealers.
Now, Nicasio on the mound. Yorvi Torrealba behind the plate. In the infield, you're going to see a new third baseman. LeMahieu was over at third. He was a second baseman last night. Jonathan Herrera at second. Carlos Gonzalez, Dexter Fowler, Mike Kadire across the outfield.
So not a productive at bat for Cozart. They let him swing the bat and he strikes out. Chu remains at second. And Joey Votto looks at a fastball, strike one. Votto, another guy who has not been swinging the bat well here the last number of games.
Which is even more important for Zach Cozart to move that runner over to third base. Make it easy on that number 3 hitter to be able to drive a run in. A simple fly ball gets the job done.
Those numbers are hard to believe, aren't they?
They're hard to believe because the Reds have played so well at home. The record is far better at home than it is on the road. But Joey Votto's hitting far better on the road.
Votto just 3 hits in his last 6 games.
You know what they call that kind of guy? A room service hitter.
Well, there are plenty of fans that would be more than willing to bring room service to his home to get that bat started up again here in Cincinnati.
Well, bring it to my house and I'll see that he gets it. How's that?
I think sounds like a great deal. Especially seeing that I don't live all that far from you, so bring it on.
I would think that he would need official tasters.
Well, it's kind of like the president.
Yeah. Of course, in his case, it would be the prime minister.
Well put. 3-1 to Votto. Chu at second base. Fooled badly there.
A gutsy pitch right there, and that's probably the 3rd best pitch that Nicasio throws. His best pitch is a fastball that he dials anywhere from 91 and 95, but he's got a nice slider, but here he throws the 3-1 changeup.
Votto chokes up on that back. 2 strikes. Has Chu out at second with 1 away, and here comes the payoff pitch, and off the body of Nicasio, and he'll find the ball and get the out. Chu on to third, 2 away.
Yeah, going right back up the middle. That's what most good hitters do nowadays, and Votto just tries to keep it simple and do just that. A shot, and I mean that was a one-hopper that found the body. Nicasio had nothing to do with actually playing good defense on that.
Well, now Jay Bruce, the last time he settled into the batter's box, he hit one a country mile, nearly to the very top row of the moon deck out there in right field, with Zach Cozart aboard to make it a 3-0 lead in the 8th inning last night. Bruce had 3 hits in a game last night. Also stole a base, scored a couple of runs.
Jay Bruce got all of this one. I mean, it went 5 rows from getting out of the ballpark, bouncing on Merring away, and bouncing probably into the Ohio River. Big time home run.
He'll take an infield hit right here and right now to plate the game's first run, with Chu standing 90 feet away. 1-1 to Bruce. Straight up in the air. Appears to be playable by the Colorado dugout, and the Reds miss a golden chance in the opening inning after a double by Chu. No score, end of 1. Brockhoff, who just passed away. Thoughts and prayers to his family and so many friends. How is Todd Frazier getting out of his slump? And you can join the Hall of Famer Hal McCoy right now for a live chat. It's all brought to you by 1-800-SAFE-AUTO. Drive safe, spend less. Hal McCoy sitting right next door. Colorado bats in the second inning. No score in the game. And first pitch breaking ball away. Swung on and missed by Michael Kadire. To be followed by Helton and Yorbi Torrealba. One walk in the first inning. One strikeout for Bailey. 0-2. Talked to the Reds ticket manager before the game today. Long time. Ticket manager John O'Brien as that one sneaks into center field on a 2-strike pitch. And so Kadire aboard to start the Colorado second inning. There are plenty of good seats available for all 3 games this weekend against Colorado, or rather against St. Louis, which is sort of hard to believe when you consider the fact the Reds sold out 4 games in a row on their last homestand. Granted, that was a holiday weekend, but there are a lot more kids out of school this coming week than there were 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, it's good you made that point with him, and also are telling everybody, because I think that the common notion is that maybe it's sold out. We don't want to go.
But definitely not.
There are definitely good seats. Good to know that.
Well, I asked John, I said, it's okay if we talk about that. There are plenty of seats and good ones available. He said, absolutely. And again, a reminder, if you're looking at a schedule and you're thinking, well, Sunday afternoon sounds like a good idea, it's not the deal. Sunday is a night game. 8:05 first pitch on Sunday. 1-1 to Todd Helton. 7:10 the start time. Of course, on Friday night we got the big fireworks show after the game that night. And then Saturday's game is at 7:15.
Had a conversation with Todd Helton around the batting cage today. You know, great guy, very much of a professional hitter. I asked him about the philosophy of the Rockies last night being so aggressive with Bronson Arroyo on the mound. He says, you know what, that was a topic of conversation in the dugout, believe me. I think some of the guys, I think mainly a guy like Todd Helton, was maybe a little bit chapped, or at least was wondering why some of the guys on that Rockies lineup were so aggressive. I mean, he had a 6-pitch inning, Arroyo did. He had what I think 3 or 4 innings in which he didn't even reach double digits. At some point you've got to make a pitcher work a little bit. Helton will always make you work.
Helton in the game last night, 1 out of 3. Had a single to right his first time up. Bounced to third in a line drive right at Frazier's last time up. Fastball off the outside corner. 2-2 to Todd Helton. Now, Kadire's been around a while, but you better keep an eye on him. 5 out of 6 in stolen base attempts so far this year.
This guy, first ballot Hall of Famer.
Well, the numbers are pretty staggering.
About 2,500 or 2,445 hits, 359 home runs. A .319 batting average overall. I mean, that's pretty impressive. Now
he's right up there on the all-time doubles list.
What will the voters do to make an adjustment for Coors Field? Great pitch by Bailey. Great pitch.
How many doubles does he have? He's right up there among the all-time leaders in that category.
573.
Yeah, almost 600 doubles.
And he just pulled the string right there. 84-mile-an-hour pitch. I got to figure that that's a split finger pitch by the way that ball simply dropped right off the table. Fastball, slider, curve for Bailey, and then that split finger pitch is what he uses as a changeup.
David Torrealba, 271 batter. It's a primary backup, of course, to the starter we saw last night, Rosario. This ball down the right field line into the corner, right on the strike. And a ground rule double. So the Reds catch a break for the time being anyway, because they will make the runner Kadire stop at third base after it bounced into the stands. Kadire would have easily scored.
You're talking about right on the line. This was right on the chalk, and it kicked it up. Torrealba wasn't sure when that ball came off the bat exactly where it was, and he was probably even more surprised to see it stay fair.
Well, now the number 8 batter, Jonathan Herrera, 241. He has 4 runs batted in. The Reds are going to bring the infield in. You've got a base open, and the pitcher spot waiting in the on-deck circle. Point Herrera takes a first pitch fastball right down the middle, of called strike. Normally those number 8 hitters in situations like this don't get that kind of pitch all that frequently.
That's why it's one of the more difficult spots in the lineup to hit him, because normally you're pitched around. You get too anxious to swing at bad pitches and make yourself an easy out.
Well, he didn't miss this one. Hooked down the right field line. Herrera on his way to second base. Here's a throw by Bruce, and it hits Herrera. And his Turris there to get it, and actually he cut it off.
Yeah, I don't know why it was cut off. I mean, maybe there was some miscommunication there. Maybe from our angle it looked like it was on line, but maybe it wasn't on line. But Herrera gets a pitch that's up. Fastball. They're just trying to go right up the ladder on him, and it backfired. Did not get it up high enough, and he's quick enough inside to get it by Joey Votto. A couple of runs come around to score.
So now the pitcher, and he looks at a strike.
You know, it's kind of all set up by that 0-2 base hit for Michael Kadire. Now, he didn't hit it very hard, and it wasn't all that bad of a pitch, but you know, this is the kind of thing that's hurt Homer recently, is not being able to put the hitters away, making too good of pitches when you're up in the count.
Nicasio bounces out, and there are 2 away with Herrera advancing on to third base. You know, we talk about it all the time. That whole debate about the number 8 hitter, and you have a base open, and situationally, you know, where you are in the game obviously will dictate oftentimes on what you decide to do, elect to do. Are they going to hit for the pitcher? But you know, in the second inning they're not going to do that, and every manager just plays it differently.
This is a swinging team, I'll tell you that. I mean, these guys come up there out of that on-deck circle swinging the bat. They're not sitting around waiting for 2 strikes and working the count or anything like that. Very aggressive, as we saw last night. They're being the same way with Homer Bailey.
You may remember where Bailey ran into all his problems his last start in Cleveland, and well, he had been so good leading up to that start, is when there were 2 out in that 7-run 4th inning. All 7 runs scored in that inning after 2 were out. It was a 1-out 2-run double so far here in the second inning by Herrera, and now 2-1 on Fowler. Two and 2. Bailey trying to leave Herrera right there at third after a 2-run double. 2 outs, 2 and 2 on Fowler. Lined into center field. That's another 2-out hit and another 2-out run against Bailey. 3-0 Rockies.
Well, he went with the fastball, and he had a big swing at it. Dexter Fowler loves to hit the fastball, and he got his hands inside and was just able to get the barrel on it.
So now LeMahieu, he bounced out to Frazier in the first inning. Strike one. Roller to the right side as Turris will throw out LeMahieu. Damage done. Colorado scores 3 in the second. 3-0 Rockies in front. Opportunity. June the 18th, you can sit in the Fox Sports Ohio Champions Club for just $80. All-inclusive club. You have all the food, non-alcoholic beverages you want the entire night, plus access to the Champions Club, multiple indoor and outdoor bars, expanded indoor seating. Go to Reds.com/FSOhio and use code, well, you better write this down. This isn't an easy one to remember. FSCLB-8. FSCLB-8 to get your tickets for the June 18th game right now. Pirates will be in, I believe that is a 4-game series against the Pirates when they come back into town after that 3-game set against Milwaukee. So now the Reds have work to do. They're trailing 3-0 against Juan Nicasio and the Rockies in game 2 of this 3-game set. Frazier, Lutz, Hannigan to start things in the Reds' second inning. A fastball taken by Frazier for a strike.
He may have thought that was a little bit high. Frazier really would prefer the ball down around the knees or just slightly above rather than those pitches that are fastballs across the letters.
Up until the 8th inning, it looked like Frazier's run scoring single in the 4th would be the only run for either team in the game last night. This ball in the air into right center field, hit a long way. Kadire at the wall, cannot get it. Fowler backing him up, and the Reds for a second straight inning have started a frame with a double.
And he didn't like the high one. He waited until it got a little bit lower right here, and that is just above the knees. In fact, that's more like about Slightly below the belt. Good hitting spot for Todd Frazier. He takes it the other way and nearly leaves the yard.
Well, now big Donald Lutz making his 7th start of the year. 6 of his 7 have been out in left field. Most recently, I mean, it's been a long time since he has started a game. Got to go back to the 21st of May when the Reds were in New York. Well, he'll advance a runner with a ground ball. And on to third goes Frazier. Obviously want to knock in a run, but at least a productive out by Lutz.
Yeah, definitely that.
He can get up the line for a big man, and he is a big man.
Well, the Reds obviously have some options there in left field. When you get Ryan Ludwig back, you'll have Heisey. By then, you would assume you would have Heisey, Ludwig, the 3 guys that have taken over that left field spot now: Derek Robinson, Donald Lutz, and of course Xavier Paul. There are a lot of options the Reds can go to for that left field spot.
Now a chance for Hannigan to get the Reds on the board. Runner at third and only 1 out. The infield conceding the run. Unless it's hit maybe right at Helton, who now begins to back up. He was playing even with a bad one. Now here he comes in again. And now you see him backpedaling. Frazier leading in foul ground, of course, at third, and Nicasio, a ground ball off the bat of Hannigan. This will bring in a run, and Helton able to put the tag on. I'll tell you, when you sit here and watch Tulowitzki, and we've seen him through the years, he has a very odd way of throwing the baseball, and throws from him happen like this a lot.
Well, it really sails on him when he throws it like that, and Hannigan does a good job of getting the ball on the ground. Unlike the Reds, the Rockies are going to go ahead and give the run up right here by playing the infield back. Good glove work by Helton at the other end. The only reason he didn't get tagged with an error. Just a little sidearm throw. When you throw it sidearm and get your fingers on the side of the baseball, that ball's going to run on you.
There's a tapper to the right side by his Turris. And a good feed by Helton to Nicasio. And his Turris is out to any inning, but the Reds get a run. Double, ground out, ground out. They're down 3-1. Warriors for serious injuries. Call 1-800-ELK-OHIO. Well, you wonder why the Reds seemingly win every night but don't gain any ground? There's your answer. Identical 21-8 records with the team they're chasing, the Cardinals, since the 3rd of May. 1 month. But Dusty Baker not uptight about any of that. I mean, people try to, ask him about the Cardinals and what they're doing and how well they're playing. And frequently, like a lot of managers or head coaches in other sports will say, we just have to worry about what we are doing and go out and win games. If you do that, chances are you're going to have a lot of good things happen to you. Reds have the 3rd best record in all of Major League Baseball. Only the Cardinals and slightly better the Texas Rangers. Rangers are 35-21. The Reds are 36-22. Three, 4, 5 in the Colorado batting order. It's a tough trio to face. 1-2 to Gonzalez. Pirates an early 1-0 lead over Atlanta. Braves beat up the Pirates last night. 1-2 on Gonzalez, and he struck him out.
Now, speaking of strikeouts, here is tonight's whiff, brought to you by Head and Shoulders. Now, with a hint of Old Spice. It happened to Troy Tulowitzki his first time up. It was fastball, fastball, fastball. 3 of them. He had 3 big hacks at him and 3 big whiffs. And Homer Bailey got his first strikeout of the ballgame that back in the 1st inning.
So what's he do this time? Starts him off with a breaking ball, and it's on the inside corner, a strike. Well, Chris brought up during the 3-run 2nd inning, Bailey's problem has not been in these last 2 starts getting ahead of people. He's thrown a first pitch strike to 12 of the first 13 Colorado batters. From time to time, he's having a hard time just putting them away, even with 2 strikes, as Tulowitzki lines out to Chu. Coming up later on tonight, as always, we'll have our Miller time moment. Well, you talk about a picture-perfect night. We were just blessed with a glorious day today. I mean, if there is ever such a thing as the perfect summer day, today was it. Not a cloud in the sky, temperatures in the mid-70s, no humidity, nice breeze. What a day.
And even a better evening.
I mean, today was one of those days, I don't know about you. I was outside a lot today. You just kept stopping and saying, man, this is really nice. Smell of the honeysuckle coming back in if you're outside a little bit.
Unless you're allergic, then you sneeze, but I think most of the allergies are gone. It was tough spring for some of us. It was a great day. If you're like me, you get up real early in the morning, drop your wife off at work, then you go play golf. That's a formula right there now. I got to teach you that one.
Yeah. Bailey Up in the air to get it, and right through Gonzalez, Tulowitzki, and Kadire in order. You do, you're dialed in. Dialed in. For each of the 3 games this weekend. If you're thinking, they're long gone, they're sold out. Last time the Reds were in town for a weekend, every game is sell out. There are tickets available, I was told by John O'Brien today. So get on the horn. 513-381-REDS. Log on to Reds.com/tickets and select Kroger's around town. You're able to buy tickets. Got to fill them up this weekend. Big time series, top 2 teams perhaps in all of baseball of the Reds and the Cardinals. Of course, the Rangers would argue that, as we mentioned a moment ago, slightly better in terms of winning percentage than the Reds. But by the time we get to Friday night, the Reds and the Cardinals may indeed have the best 2 records in the big leagues.
Of course, the Reds can't think like that. They've got to think one game at a time, meaning this one right now, they're down by 2. And, of course, tomorrow they've got one more game left with this Colorado Rocky Ball Club. It's just as important as the games you play against the Cardinals.
Johnny Cueto tomorrow, John Garland.
Good pitching matchup there.
Homer Bailey to be followed by Shin-Soo Choo and then Zach Kozar. Reds have had doubles to open up each of their first 2 innings of the game. They could not get Choo home in the first inning. They did get Frazier home in the second. 2-2 to Bailey, who has 3 hits and 17 at bats. Two to Homer Bailey. Ball 3. Well, Nicasio's about due to walk a batter. He had walked 22 batters in 56 innings coming into the game tonight. It won't be Bailey. Tapper to Tulowitzki. Mike Leake and Adam Wainwright will be here on Friday night. Matt Latos and left-hander Tyler Lyons on Saturday night. Bronson Arroyo, Lance Lynn. Lynn beat Arizona last night to go to 8-1 on the year. Wainwright is also an 8-game winner. Cardinals and Diamondbacks will be playing game 2 of their series, 4-game series, here in about 15 minutes. Herrera, the quick flip to Helton in time to get Chu 2 out. Well, if Herrera hits a home run off that Toyota sign way out there in right center field, that happens during our game tonight, Diane Burns will win the beautiful new Tundra you see out in left center here at the ballpark. You can register for your chance to win it at an upcoming game. Just stop by your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealer. Zach Kozar struck out his first time up with Chu at second base and nobody out in the first inning. Tulowitzki lets it fly and the inning is over. 1, 2, 3 in the third. End of 3. Colorado a 3-1 lead. Brought to you by Toyota. See your Toyota dealer. Visit buyatoyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. And by JTM Food Group, creating great dishes together. Good crowd, beautiful night downtown Cincinnati. Second game of what will be a 6-game homestand. Reds are only on the road 4 games over the next 2.5 weeks. They'll go play the Cubbies Monday night, Tuesday night next week. Day games on Wednesday and Thursday. Are you on that, Chris?
I am.
You are good. Chi-Town's your kind of town.
It is. Love Wrigley Field. I like the way it is. Now, next year it may be a little different than what we see this year. So if you're a fan heading up there to watch that series, enjoy it.
I got a feeling they're not going to have any of that stuff done by next year. There just seems to be so much, you get into Chicago politics, and I mean, it's just brutal. And by the time you dot I's and cross T's, and we'll see, maybe it will be, because it's a big job they're talking about.
Oh, you're
real big job. Helton the ground ball. And the second baseman is Turris. 1 out to begin the 4th inning. But you're right, big changes are coming to that ballpark if they get it all together. Fastball in there, strike. Torrealba doubled down the right field line. In that 3-run second inning, he scored on the 2-run double by Herrera.
Hey, one thing, Homer Bailey has one kind of a nasty split finger fastball working tonight. He struggled for a long time trying to figure out a way to throw an off-speed pitch, a changeup. That splitter has really worked well. We mentioned it during the last broadcast. In fact, it was during the game that Homer pitched against the Indians that he was taught that pitch by his teammate down in Louisville, Justin Lear. When Lear made his appearances as a Cincinnati Red at the big league level, he threw that pitch an awful lot.
Routine ground ball to short. 2 out. Well, as a melanoma survivor, baseball commissioner Bud Selig has made it an annual priority to spread the message about skin cancer prevention, and MLB and the American Academy of Dermatology are sharing tips for fans as they enjoy watching baseball at the ballpark or play the games themselves. For more information on how to protect yourself and your loved ones, PlaySunSmart.org, the website to log on. Trust me, I was a dummy for a long time living out in that Arizona sunshine. Make it a point to go get yourself checked out. Put on that sunscreen, and especially those little ones, because it is no fun when all of a sudden that dermatologist looks at you and said, we're going to start doing a little cutting here in a little while. It's no fun at all. And it's serious stuff. Down to Votto. And a 1-2-3-4 for Homer Bailey. Votto to start things in the bottom of the inning. Reds are down 3-1. Trivia question tonight. Name the player in this ballpark who has turned an unassisted triple play. I happen to know the answer to that question, so I'm going to stay away from it.
Well, logically thinking, I don't think it's a Cincinnati Red. Maybe it is.
It's not, I can tell you.
All right. And it's probably not an outfielder. And probably not a pitcher.
James Harrison has never done it. One of the newest Bengal after all those unbelievable years with the Pittsburgh Steelers. A bunch of those Bengals are taking batting practice down here tomorrow.
Really?
Marvin Lewis and a bunch of the players. taking a little BP here tomorrow.
I like to see that. We'll get a little bit of that on tape for you. If you can't make it down to the ball game, there are tickets available, I think, for tomorrow, right?
There are. It's Matt Lato's bobblehead night tomorrow night.
Man. Complete with tattoos.
But Joey Votto to lead things off. All right, so to finish your logic, not an outfielder. We've already established not a Red.
Pitcher. That leaves you as an infielder.
And you talk about rare, I mean, by far and away, one of the most rare accomplishments there is in baseball. There have only been 6 of them in the last 80 years of Major League Baseball. One and one to Votto. He bounced out to the mound, hit the ball very hard. It just happened to run into the body. The ball did of Nicasio on the mound. One-two pitch. Pulled into right field by a diving Herrera. Well, now it's time for our lows never stop improving. Well, we've talked about this frequently. Jay Bruce, since coming up in 2008 at 21 home runs, has increased that number every year as his career has moved forward. 9 of them so far this year. Here, I have work to do. Having played the first 2 months of this season, right now would be on pace for right around 30. Well, we know Bruce more than capable of getting so hot, and those home runs coming in bunches. Ball 1 to Bruce. Three runs, 4 hits, Colorado. All 3 runs, all 4 hits coming in the second inning. Reds got their only run in the bottom of the second inning. But Votto aboard to begin the 4th. 2-0 on Bruce.
Got a good hitting spot right here for Jay Bruce. Needs to be selective, get one he likes. He just saw a changeup bounce in the dirt right there, so I'm not so sure if Nicasio is going to come right back with that pitch or try to go to his #1 fastball.
Ball 3. Came with a fastball.
Yeah, tried to run it.
Launched on a 3-0 pitch into right center field, and Fowler has room in front of the wall. When it left the bat, it sounded good, it looked good, but to nearly the very deepest part of this ballpark.
Well, he went down and got a pitch. I thought he got the barrel right on that ball. There's not much wind blowing at all here at the ballpark tonight. A little bit of a cutter or slider right there, and Bruce just gives it a good ride.
Well, if you're going to get the green light on 3-0, that's a swing on a 3-0 pitch. Not the result he wanted as far as not leaving the yard or not getting a base hit, but that ball hit right on the nose. Votto 2 of 3 in stolen base attempts so far this year. And here's Frazier, who doubled off the right center field wall and scored the only Reds run in the second inning.
We began to talk about Juan Nicasio at the very beginning of the ball game, and what a miracle it is he's actually on the mound pitching Major League Baseball again. He was the one you may remember back in August of 2011. He was hit on the side of the head with a line drive off the bat of Ian Desmond, who was with the Washington Nationals. And it knocked him down. As then he fell down, he hit the ground and broke his neck. He laid there on the ground, couldn't move. They brought the stretcher in, and he needed surgery to repair his broken vertebrae. Good slider there. He wore a neck brace for a month. But in talking to Bo McLaughlin, who's from Cincinnati, by the way, went to Amelia High School. He's their bullpen coach for the Rockies. He can relate, and he did a lot of somewhat kind of coaching counseling for Nicasio. McLaughlin back in 1981 was hit in the side of the face by a line drive off the bat of Harold Baines.
That is a fair ball down the left field line. Votto racing to the plate. He will score. Frazier a pair of doubles tonight. And it's a one-run ball game.
Now, good ball clubs get production out of all different parts of the order. And for a while there it was Joey Votto and Shin-Soo Choo carrying this ball club, and now you see some other guys beginning to contribute. Second double of the night for Todd Frazier. That will plate Joey Votto. And it's a one-run ball game.
All right, so now Frazier is a tying run out there at second base. And here's Donald Lutz. Lutz did a nice job advancing Frazier second and third with nobody out. But now he's looking to try and tie this game. Hammered down the right field line. Is it fair? Is it foul? It is a foul ball. Holy Moses, was that ball hit? My, oh my.
Well, he's seen two pitches and he's put two good swings on him right there. Inner third, he thought he had one. And had this ball not curved just a little bit at the last moment. Got them all excited down there at the Bowtie Bar. Maybe he's got another one in him.
I think he's got a lot more in him. It may not be in this at bat. This young man, once his time arrives to get a chance to play at the big league level regularly, and as Dusty Baker has said, it may not be right now, but it's not too far away. I think his number one fan, Donald Lutz's number one fan, is the Reds manager. Came up empty there. Frazier, the tying run at second base with one out. We're in the bottom of the fourth inning. Reds have hit some balls hard here in this fourth against Nicasio. Votto a base hit into right. Bruce on a 3-0 pitch sent one to the wall and deep right center. Frazier a double down to third base line. Lutz a foul ball hit a mile. But he's behind on a count 0-2. And he struck him out. Got him on that hard slider down and in. Two are out. We remind you tonight's Ohio Lottery Mega Millions jackpot up to $12 million. And the drawing is tonight at 11 o'clock. Good luck. now Hannigan with a chance to tie the game. That's Frazier carrying the tying run out there at second base. And that one comes all the way to the backstop. We were talking about Nicasio getting hit by Ian Desmond.
Now here it is right here, and it hits him, and when he fell down, you can see the awkward way he fell on his neck. Breathing very hard. I mean, it was just such a serious moment in Colorado. Jim Tracy, the Rockies manager, they placed him on the stretcher. He went to surgery, wore a neck brace for a month, and then he was in spring training the following year. A miraculous recovery, really, Nicasio, from there to now. I was getting around the story of Bo McLaughlin, who is their bullpen coach and right-hander, who was drafted originally by the Astros back in the late 70s, went to David Lipscomb College, but he played amateur baseball right here in Cincinnati area. In fact, I played against Bo McLaughlin as an amateur. And he got hit in the face with a line drive in 1981, and it put him out for the rest of the season. So he had some advice for Nicasio after he was coming back. He said you have to overcome the fear of the baseball. And what Bo McLaughlin did was he went up in batting practice and practiced bunting. Get his face right next to the bat and the ball. Watch that ball come in there. And little by little would overcome the fear of the baseball. Nicasio last year, if you saw him pitch at all, there's Bo McLaughlin. Big guy ambling around. So Nicasio last year would show from time to time a little bit of shyness. He'd throw the ball and kind of back up a little bit. I don't see any of that right now at all. There's Big Bo.
Nice guy.
Well, what a competitor. This was right when Midland was just forming. He played for a team called Wilson Freight, managed by Hal Pennington, amateur coach for a long time.
2-2 on Hannigan, and we'll do it again.
Back when I played against Bo McLaughlin's team, Ron Roth who's the official scorer here with the Reds, was one of the assistant coaches for Gordon Vettorino. We were with Sweeney Chevrolet, and we beat Bo McLaughlin 2-1 on a double suicide. We scored 2 runs on a squeeze play. Wow. Bo was fit to be tied.
Of course, Gordon Vettorino went on to become a legendary coach for Midland.
Yes, he did.
2-2 on Hannigan. Tying run over at third. Well, he's had a couple of good pitches to hit. Hadn't missed him by much, but fouled them both straight back to the screen. Hannigan knocked in the Reds' first run with an RBI ground out to short. His 12th run batted in. Three and two. A lot of strikes in his bat to Hannigan. Three and two. Frazier, the tying run. Reds down 3-2. And that is a fair ball up the third base line. Game is tied. Ryan Hannigan delivers an RBI double, and it's a 3-3 game. What a really nice at bat by Ryan Hannigan.
Very much so. In fact, he picks up his pitcher Homer Bailey, who gave up a 3 spot, is battling out there to try to keep his team in the ball game. What a mistake pitch there by Juan Nicasio, though. He's got Cesar Izturis in the on-deck circle, and he just hangs a slider middle in about waist high and gives Ryan Hannigан a chance to drive a run in, keep the rally alive, and put himself in the scoring position.
So now is Turris with a chance to give the Reds their first lead of the game. Reds with a pair of doubles, 3 hits in this inning. And they're going to go ahead and not even take the chance on his Turris, despite the fact that he's batting under 150 on the year. They're going to intentionally walk. And again, this gets back to something we brought up earlier in the game. Now there's 2 outs here. There was only 1 out back when the Reds decided to pitch to Jonathan Herrera in the 2nd inning. So right there's a significant difference. But there are some managers out there, doesn't matter when it is in the game, they are not going to let that number 8 hole hitter beat them or even hurt them. And with 2 men out, Walt Weiss says, we're not letting that happen here. Homer Bailey down, strike 1. Two on, 2 out, 2 runs home. And Bailey tardy on a fastball, and Ocasio ahead of him at no balls and 2 strikes. Homer without an RBI this year. We brought up earlier 3 hits in now 18 at bats. One and 2. We'll take a look at the pitch count here in the 4th inning. "31st coming. And there'll be another.
He's been pretty pitch efficient, Nicasio has, as he not normally is. This season he has not pitched more than 6 innings in a ball game, 6 innings even. And they usually get him out of there by the time he reaches 90 to 95 pitches. They are very conservative with their pitch count here with the Rockies.
Breaking ball, good eye there by Homer. 2 and 2.
Nicasio pitches Homer Bailey pretty much the way Homer Bailey pitches Nicasio. Fastballs up in the zone, try to make him chase high, try to tease that little slider off the plate. Not likely to see a changeup.
Shook off his catcher Torrealba. Now the OK on the sign. 2 on, 2 out, 2-2 pitch. Bouncing ball down to 3rd. And LeMahieu, the force play, will end the inning. But a good inning for the Reds. They tie it up with a pair. We move to the 5th in a 3-3 game. Out of the top half of the 5th inning in a 3-3 game. Colorado getting all 3 of their runs and all 4 of their base hits in the 2nd inning off Homer Bailey. And don't forget, on Father's Day, it's right around the corner. Now, we talk all the time about not dropping the ball on Mother's Day. Well, don't do it on Dad's Day either. June the 16th, the Reds will be right here against Colorado. The first 10,000, or against Milwaukee. First 10,000 dads get a Reds Father's Day gym bag thanks to Cons. You can take advantage of the Reach Magazine Sunday Family Days ticket offer. Buy tickets at a very special price. 381 Reds, the number to dial. That'll be a nice weekend. Father's Day weekend coming up.
Now, new life for Homer Bailey. Anytime you're down early in the ball game, you kind of sit around. You hope your ball club can come back into it a little bit. The Reds have tied it up, so he starts from square one right here in the top of the 5th.
Ocasio looks at strike 1 from Bailey. Well, you said it. Same way that he was pitching him, that he was pitching him. Went with that breaking ball down and away from Ocasio to get ahead 0-2. And there's a fastball, or no, not 87. Took a little something off of it again. That's strike 3. It's 4 strikeouts for Bailey, and we answer now our AT&T trivia question about what player in this ballpark has turned a triple play, unassisted triple play. And Chris, you had it whittled down, no problem.
Well, I actually was going to say Walt Weiss, but you threw me when you said what player. He was a manager. He would have turned it as a player. Troy Tulowitzki did it several years ago.
April the 29th, 2007.
You got to be in the right spot at the right time, don't you?
Sure do.
Line out, touch the bag, touch the runner. Touch the bag again. A 4-play. Maybe carried one over the next inning.
That's right. You know, it's so interesting that that happened against the Atlanta Braves. You know why? Because the only manager that I can ever remember. Now, I don't know what the count was. That was in the 7th inning of a game, but they were playing the Atlanta Braves. And obviously, there were runners on first and second base. The only runner I've ever seen in my 25 years of broadcasting, the only manager who regularly would put on a hit and run on a 3-1 count or a 2-0 count with runners at first and second base was Bobby Cox.
You're right, he would.
I mean, the guy, it was, you would see it a number of times over the course of a season if you watch the Braves play enough. He loved to do it. 1-2 to Dexter Fowler.
You know what else he would do I thought was very interesting, and nowadays people seem to really dissect lineups more than they ever used to. But he used to make out his lineup with no regard at all whether there were 3 left-handers in a row or 5 right-handers in a row. He'd just make his lineup out.
Right.
Here's my guy I want here, 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 here. If I have to worry about bringing a guy in and out of the bullpen in the 8th inning, then I'm not doing much, for the guys in the lineup. Now, there are a lot of managers that won't put a lineup together like that. But Bobby Cox is one of the very few that would.
You're 100% right. I'd forgotten all about that. But I remember guys asking him about it all the time. The press would ask him about it all the time. I mean, he just, kind of wave you off. I don't worry about that stuff. I want Chipper Jones hitting 3rd. I want Freddie McGriff hitting 4th. I want Ron Gant hitting 5th, and that's the way it's going to be.
Well, don't look now, but 9 in a row now for Homer Bailey.
And he's had strike one on LeMahieu.
Now that pitch he's throwing right there, that 88-mile-an-hour pitch, is a slider. He'll throw his fastball anywhere from 92 to 95. So if it's in the high 80s, chances are it's a slider. If it's in right around 80 miles an hour or so, it's a curveball. And then 83, 84, 85 is that splitter. He's just coming right after LeMahieu and Tulowitzki, two big, tall right-handers with the heat.
Still very swollen at left arm of Brandon Phillips. There's a broken bat roller. Frazier throws out LeMahieu. 10 in a row retired by Bailey. 3-3 game.
With you just beside the Reds dugout, and I got to tell you, it's the best thing I've seen in the Reds dugout for quite some time. We have not seen third base coach Mark Berry in the dugout for a while, since he's been battling throat cancer, but he is in here tonight. It has been a tough road for Mark Berry. Told me today he's lost 38 pounds. He ended his treatment, his chemo treatments and radiation treatments 10 days ago, but it has been a rough road. Right now, he says he can hardly swallow, cannot eat. He's lost a ton of weight because of it. But he said today was the first day that he's actually felt better since the start of the treatments. And you've got to imagine that he's in a very good mood, and it's helping him tonight just to be around the boys. He's got a smile on his face. And he says he won't know for 3 months when he goes back to the doctor and finds out if he's cancer-free. But all signs are pointing towards the treatments working. And he says he hopes to go on the road trip with the Reds to Texas. That might be ambitious, and would like to coach third base by the All-Star break, but that's really secondary. What matters is that he's cancer-free, and we send our prayers out to him. It is great to see him, guys.
Thank God for that, indeed. Great to have him back at the ballpark. Boy, Sean Casey was talking on and on about Mark Berry over the weekend, and how much Mark Berry meant to him during his career, and all the times the two of them would spend in the batting cage together hours before a game. He told the story the other night about both of them already in their jeans leaving the ballpark, and both looked at each other and said, let's get back in there right now.
That's the kind of guy Mark Berry is.
Yep. Chu leading things off here in the bottom of the 5th inning of a 3-3 game. And a pop-up to Gonzalez. Congratulations in order tonight. A happy 58th wedding anniversary to Mary and Denny Dennison. That is Seg Dennison from 700 WLW. His mom and dad.
Wow.
Celebrating 58 years of marriage. How about that? Congratulations. And that'd be awesome to hit 58 years together. Wow. So now Kozar with 1 out and nobody on, and it's fouled out of play. Zach 0 for 2 in the game, struck out and bounced out to Tulowitzki. For Seg Dennison's father, Denny, he is a Pearl Harbor survivor. Wow. We thank him for his service. And all of you out there have served, are serving, those that will serve. There's a beautiful article. I can't remember what national publication it was, but just written recently about the Reds, perhaps more than any other professional sports organization, and all they do for veterans and the military. It was a great piece. Hard hit ball, but Tulowitzki's got it. 2 out.
Well, it goes all year round with the Reds and their support of all the military folks, but it really starts big time and right from opening day with the Wounded Warrior program that they go hand in hand with. Of course, George Foster very deeply involved with that. Every night here at the ballpark, they honor a serviceman or a servicewoman. Stands on top of the Reds dugout to a thunderous standing ovation from everybody in the ballpark. That's a moving moment. Happens every night here.
Votto started the 2-run rally in the 4th inning with a leadoff single in the right field. Scored on the double by Frazier. Frazier scored on the 2-out double by Hannigan. The Reds have come all the way back from a 3-0 deficit to tie the game. We're in the 5th with 2 outs and nobody on. Arizona's tied St. Louis 1-1. That game in the 2nd inning in Busch Stadium. Keep you up to speed on that one. Pirates a 4-2 5th inning lead over Atlanta.
Well, every time I see a pitcher do that to a hitter, not only Joey Votto, but anybody, it reminds me of Hoyt Wilhelm, the old-time knuckleballer who used to say, you get ahead of a hitter and you want to throw inside, throw at his feet. That way you won't make him mad, but you make him move his feet in the batter's box.
Fly ball smoked, and Herrera just moved over into the hole. And from the grass in short right field, throws out Votto. We move to the 6th in a 3-3 game. Milwaukee Honda dealers. And right now, your Honda game summary. Colorado jumped in front of Homer Bailey. It began with a 2-run double down the right field line by Jonathan Herrera. He would then score 2 batters later on a single to center by Dexter Fowler. 3-0 Rockies. But then the Reds began to chip away. After getting a run in the second inning, Frazier knocked in Votto in the fourth. And Hannigan right up the third base line as well for an RBI double to play Frazier. A 3-3 game. 3 runs, 5 hits, 3 left for the Reds. 3 runs, 4 hits, no errors, 2 left on base for Colorado. Bailey's retired the last 10 since the Dexter Fowler RBI single capped the 3-run second inning. But right through the heart of the order for a second time now. And through the order a second time, meaning it will be Gonzalez, Tulowitzki, and Kadire to start an inning. "21 Rockies hitters have come to the plate. 19 of them have started nothing and 1 in the count. And there's a fastball at 94 knee high outside edge.
He's dealing right now. We've seen this throughout this year with Homer Bailey. He seems to get stronger and stronger as the game goes on. His velocity gets up a little bit, but you can't paint it any better than that. Get that little detail brush out. Big inning right here because you're going right through the thick of the order, and Gonzalez, Tulowitzki, and Kadire easily the 3 best hitters on this ball club.
One and 2 on Gonzalez. Gonzalez has walked and struck out. Tulowitzki, you see, 0 for 2 in the game. Kadire has a hit and has scored a run. Got him to chase away. Second straight time Bailey has struck out Gonzalez. Well, we'd like to tell you one more time, you have an exclusive opportunity right now, and I mean tonight. June 18th, you can sit in the Fox Sports Ohio Champions Club for $80. All inclusive. That's food, the whole shooting match, and non-alcoholic beverages all night. They have multiple indoor and outdoor bars, expanded indoor seating. Go to Reds.com/FSOhio. Use the code FSCLB8 and get your tickets for the June 18th game right now. Tickets available tomorrow night. That'll be Matt Lato's bobblehead night. First 30,000 fans through the gates get a Matt Lato's, first ever Matt Lato's bobblehead. That's tomorrow night, 7:10 game. And we tell you again, there are tickets available, good tickets available. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday nights. Reds against the Cardinals here at Great American Ballpark. Well, I tell you what, Bailey is just saying to Tulowitzki, here it is. Now, he blew him away on fastballs in the first inning. Tulowitzki had a line drive to center his next time up. And that was 96 gas right down the can, that last pitch.
Yeah, the line drive he hit came off a slider, so I imagine that Homer just going to rear back and show him what a Texas fastball looks like. There's a splitter. Or maybe a slam. It's probably a splitter. Went straight down. Well, 7 of them now for Homer.
Tulowitzki tonight.
4 of the last 5 outs recorded by Homer Bailey. Strikeouts. Hey, he does it very simply. Bailey does. I mean, you need arm speed, number one, to throw a splitter that'll sink that much. You got that big hand, so you can put that baseball in between your index finger and your middle finger. But once you get it in there and get the feel, you throw it like a fastball. And he has gotten better and better with it.
So now Kadire with 2 down and nobody on. One delivery in the air, left field. Backing up on it is Lutz. He'll have room, and the inning is over. 1, 2, 3 for a 4th straight inning for Homer Bailey. Got it all covered. Reds Live, the pregame version, comes your way 30 minutes before every game. Presented by Ray St. Clair Roofing. And then after the game, it's Reds Live, where we'll break it all down. The entire gang, including Chris Welsh. Brought to you by Kings Honda and the Kings Auto Mall. Visit KingsHondaUSA.com.
It was interesting to hear Bronson Arroyo break down his game yesterday with Jim Day. They sat right there and they went through it just about inning by inning. And nice to hear Arroyo's talk about how he wanted to get a certain pitch inside and got it up there and still got a ground ball out of it. And when you throw a game like that, you're always happy to talk about it. You have a bad game, that's the one you want to erase. But you can get them all, good and bad, on Reds Live.
And you can get it all from Arroyo, whether he's good or bad. I mean, he will always be there to answer the questions, never ducks a press. He stands right there at his locker if he shut him out over 8 or gave up 7 runs in 3 innings.
I don't think the Reds have too many guys
no, they don't.
That go out the back door and escape the press.
They do not. They're playing those guys around the league, though.
Good hit and count here for Bruce. You're right.
3-0. Remember 3-0 last time. His team was down Couple of runs. He had a runner at first, but he let her rip and hit it out by that 404 sign before it was caught by Dexter Fowler. 4-pitch walk this time. So now Frazier, we mentioned a number of days ago, he's starting to show signs of coming around a little bit. Over his last 16 games, that batting average has been .365 after going so long with not even making a noise. Todd tonight, 2 for 2, pair of doubles, one to right center, the other one up the left field line. Has knocked in a run and scored a run. Scored twice. We saw Bruce pick up a stolen base here in the game last night. Action down there in the Colorado bullpen. We saw that young man with Houston, Wilton Lopez. 0-1 on Frazier. 2-0. Or 1-1, I beg your pardon.
Yeah, they're getting him up, Wilton, because Juan Nicasio is pretty much at his pitch limit. As I said early on, we talked about it a little bit yesterday, the Rockies are as conservative as any team out there as far as shutting down their starters once they get right around 90 to 100 pitches. This is pitch number 89 now for Nicasio.
You know, I want to ask you something about that after this 1-1 pitch. Frazier pops it up. Coming in to get it is Kadire, 1 out. You know, you hear all the time guys that talk about pitching at mile-high altitude out in Denver and how, you know, you almost have to have a little more pressure, a little more torque on the slider, a little different kind of grip on the change and a splitter. And what that might do in terms of, you know, start after start, year after year, if you're lucky enough to hang around. Do you think that might have something, anything at all, to do with it?
I think it does have something to do with it. I think that they've tried to figure out for years, ever since they put a ball club, a major league team there in Denver, what the best type of pitcher would be to pitch there and how to keep them healthy. And you do. I mean, I pitched there when the Reds had a farm club there for 1 year, the Denver Zephyrs. Barry Larkin was on that team. I pitched there for a short while, a month of April, and I can tell you that you really had to work hard to get your breaking ball to work. And if you were a curveball pitcher like I was, you really had to work harder than anybody else because that was your pitch. It's not an easy place to pitch at all. But more and more major league teams are all attuned to that pitch count more than ever before.
But you're right as far as Colorado is concerned. It is far more. They've only had 4 pitchers throw 100 pitches in a game all year long. The next lowest among Major League Baseball teams is 11.
It's interesting, and Major League Baseball has come to the point where they really count the pitches of a starter, but they don't really give much credence to the number of appearances by relievers. I mean, you see these relievers who go 70 games 2 years in a row, and in the 3rd year they can hardly get anybody out. You don't really hear or read about that.
Well, don't you think a lot of it has to do with the fact that it's not hard to chart relievers and how many pitches they throw in a game once they come in. Everybody does that for every pitcher that comes in any Major League Baseball game. But don't you think with the relievers it might have more to do, or as much to do, with all the getting up and down in the bullpen? Well, of course, year after year.
The innings warmed up, certainly. But I think if you have a guy that appears in 70 games 2 years in a row, almost always without fail, he's going to have a drop off in his stuff that 3rd year. And you don't read much about that. And maybe you don't read much about it because the starters are the ones that are making all the money, and the middle relievers are almost disposable.
One and one on Donald Lutz. He's 0 for 2 in the game. Helped produce a run with a ground out his first time up. That one thrown in the dirt and handled over there by Todd Helton. And Lutz hit a ball, I mean, way back, but just fouled down the right field line. First pitch in the 4th inning that he saw in the at bat, wound up striking out. Well, Lopez is ready if they need him. This will be pitch number 92 of the game for Nicasio. Foul ball. You know, you really can't talk enough about the point you just made about how challenging it has been over 20 years of a franchise to find pitchers that are effective and to find pitchers that are durable for the Rockies. I mean, it is a Rocky Mountain-sized problem for their franchise.
And I can guarantee you that they have spent hundreds, if not thousands, of hours in meetings talking about that, trying to figure out what is the best type of pitcher. Who around Major League Baseball would fit here in our uniform?
And who wants to go there?
Or who do we have to overpay to get here?
There's a pitch in the dirt. And good aggressive base running by Jay Bruce. He'll get into scoring position.
That's a huge play right there by Bruce. I mean, unless you're anticipating the ball getting by the catcher. And with either of these catchers with the Rockies, you've got to be anticipated all the time. Nicasio down in the dirt with a slider. Ball bumps up in the air. Last night's catcher had 8 pass balls, I think, coming into the ball game. Rockies have a lot of wild pitchers, a lot of wild pitches.
And Lutz a swing and a miss on that same pitch that struck him out the last time.
Yeah, you figured it was coming. Now, once they get the book on you, they're going to keep on keeping on you until you can turn the page and figure out and maybe stay one step ahead of them. So a guy like Donald Lutz, who gets to the major leagues early on, and he starts hitting the fastball, and they realize that he can turn on the fastball, they're going to go to plan B. Best at bat of the night was the last time this guy stepped into the batter's box.
Hannigan a pair of RBIs in the game. He had a double up the left field line on a 3-2 pitch. His last time up. Looks at a fastball right down the middle of strike. One to Hannigan with Bruce go ahead run and right at the second baseman already. We remain tied at 3 as we go to the 7th here at Great American Ballpark in Cincinnati. Hospital, ranking 3rd in the nation on the U.S. News and World Report's 2012 honor roll for best children's hospitals in America. And by Chevy. Stop into your Tri-State Chevy dealer today and check out their full line of fuel-efficient vehicles. Beautiful Great American Ballpark right along the banks. And Homer Bailey, who's retired 13 in a row since the RBI single by Fowler to cap off that 3-run second, is set to face Helton, Torrealba, and Herrera. Helton has struck out and bounced out to second base. '88th pitch of the night for Bailey as we begin the 7th. And there goes a panel on the old board. That baby knocked clean out by Todd Helton. Right there.
Helton was in the on-deck circle last night when Aroldis Chapman finished the game off by striking out Michael Kadire. He was telling me this afternoon, he goes, I'm in the on-deck circle looking at this guy. Wonder what my game plan's going to be. Left-hander throwing 100 miles an hour. You don't see too many of those. Todd was raised in Tennessee, in the Knoxville area in Tennessee. Had some relatives as he was growing up in the Cincinnati area. Come up and visit them from time to time.
Bailey finally okays a sign in the 0-2, and whatever it was, that's not where he wanted to put it.
Yeah, they shook it off a couple of times before he finally got on the same page with Ryan Hannigan. So let's take a look at this entire at bat that ended up in a base hit on an 0-2 count to Todd Helton and Homer Bailey, brought to you by Mazda, pitch by pitch. Went fastballs early on, and he's got a good one tonight. Here's an off-speed pitch. After a foul ball on another fastball, decides to come downstairs a little either slider or splitter. And Helton puts a good wood to it and breaks that string of consecutive outs by Homer Bailey. He had struck out 4 of the last 6 batters.
So now Torrealba. They're asking Torrealba to put down the bunt. Well, Votto nearly lazily threw that ball into right field. Saved by his Turris. Man, you saw Votto saying, nice going.
Well, I'm not so sure it was as lazy as just bad form by Joey Votto. I just think that he doesn't get a good foundation oftentimes when he throws, and he threw that ball off balance like he's done so many times. And Cesar Turris is just a slightly smaller target down there than Brandon Phillips. I'm not so sure he's got the jump either.
Well, able to get that one, that's all that matters. All right, now the go-ahead run out at second base with 1 out for Herrera. Herrera, the guy you may remember, had that 2-run double to right field on Bailey in the 3-run second inning.
Yeah, Bailey tried to go up the ladder and got a fastball on the inner part of the plate, and Herrera just ripped it down the line.
And there's a base hit into left field. They're going to hold the runner at third, Helton, as Lutz gets to that ball quickly.
Well, I'm really kind of surprised that they were going to hold him there, especially given the fact that they're down at the bottom of the lineup. You know, you're going to see a pinch hitter, no doubt. Maybe Helton just not running it. I mean, at his age, he's not running very fast, and in fact, he's not even to third. He was going to hold himself up.
Well, now Brian Price going to come out to the mound and visit with Homer Bailey.
Hey, Herrera's had 2 pretty good at-bats against Homer Bailey. Hey, Bailey's pretty much breezed through the big hitters. Cargo, Carlos Gonzalez, and Troy Tulowitzki. 0 for 5 between them with 4 punch-outs. The bottom of the order is the one that has done the damage.
Well, they've announced Jordan Pacheco as the pinch hitter. If you're hitting the road, you can take Fox Sports Ohio's coverage of Reds baseball right along with you. MLB.TV celebrating 11 years with new low yearly prices. MLB.TV is baseball everywhere. Check it out. So Checo for Nicasio, who goes 6. Allows only 5 hits and 3 runs. Walked 2 batters, 1 intentionally. And fanned 3. Wasn't too long ago they were talking about this guy being their third baseman of the future. And now we heard the same thing about a different guy, Nolan Arenado, a year later.
Well, they had a very fine year last year. Pacheco did. He hit over 300, hit 309, and played 132 ball games. Not a guy that is known to work the count very much. He's up there to swing it. Homer looking for a strikeout right here. He just doesn't want to lay a fastball in there to let Pacheco even hit a sacrifice fly to break this tie. Either get a strikeout here, maybe a ground ball double play to end the inning. But since you can't plan on the ground ball, you go for the strikeout.
1 ball and 1 strike on Pacheco. They're on low. Helton began the inning with a single. They bunted him over. Herrera base hit. 3-3 game. First and third. 1 out. 2-1 to Pacheco. And another throw, pretty close right there.
I mean, he's going nowhere, Herrera is. I'm not even sure why he's got such a big lead that he would make it that close. He does not have a stolen base yet this year. He stole 4 last year. Robato not really giving him much of the bag to be able to slide back in. You see Robato's got his right foot planted. He's taking about half that base away.
2-1 to Pacheco. And a ground ball down to third. Frazier is Turris. And that's a double play. And it is our Miller time moment, brought to you by Miller Lite. Runners on the corners in a tie game, 1 out. And that's the way you draw it up, Mr. Welsh.
You're not kidding about that. Could not have come at a better time for the Reds and Homer Bailey. Got the pinch hitter Pacheco on the ground, turned all the way around the horn. That's why they call it a pitcher's best friend, right, Homer?
Well, you're not lying about that.
And he'll bat second in this inning after his Turris, the number 8 hitter, comes on. It'll be a new pitcher for the Rockies after they had Juan Nicasio go 6 innings of 3-run, 5-hit baseball.
Everybody going to settle in now after the 7th inning stretch time. Edgmer Escalano takes over on the mound. Colonna, I beg your pardon, in his 19th game. Pretty good numbers. League batting .222 against him, and obviously good control in 30 innings. 25 strikeouts against 6 walks. So Escalona set to face his Turris, then Bailey, and then back to the top of the order in Chu. Reruns, 6 hits, 3 left on base for Colorado. Reruns, 5 hits, no errors, 4 left for the Reds.
A couple of Venezuelans going at it right here. Escalona, the pitcher, is from La Guaira, Venezuela, a sleepy little beach town not too far from Caracas, and Cesar Esteras is from Maracaibo.
One out. So now Bailey will be taken down for a pinch hitter. Xavier Paul going to come off the bench. Bailey bounces back from that rough outing. against the Cleveland Indians. Throws a good ball game here tonight.
And he made some pitches when he had to. That really oftentimes determines whether you have a good ball game or a bad ball game, because eventually during a game, unless you just have one of these lucky brilliant nights, you're going to run into an inning where you have to make a pitch, where you got to get a play behind you made. And he did that in that last inning when Pacheco was grounded into a ground ball double play at the end of the inning. That's just a good bow your neck at bat for Homer Bailey.
Well, Paul digging in and takes a fastball low and away. Paul with a pair of pinch hit home runs this season. Of course, one of them a grand slam the opening weekend here against the Washington Nationals. 1-0 pitch. Fastball up and away, 2 balls and no strikes. So Bailey, 7 innings of 6 hit 3-run baseball, walked only 1 while fanning 7. Talking things over down there with his catcher Ryan Hannigan. Paul trying to break the 3-3 tie with that cut.
Now he figured he was getting the fastball. Escalona throws nearly 70% fastballs. He doesn't throw much in the way of a changeup. That's why I figured that Dusty Baker's using him right here. It's a good matchup stuff-wise. Good fastball hitter against pretty much a fastball pitcher. Well, Escalona not messing around. He just comes right at you.
Arizona, meanwhile, had a 4-1 lead over the Cardinals. The Cardinals have trimmed that down to a 1-run game. And they're at the end of 4. Here it's 3-3. Escalona shaking off his catcher, Torrealba. And the 2-2 offering. You said it. Came right back with another fastball. And why would you think anything different on 3-2? Escalona's a big dude.
6'4", 235, 240. I mean, they're growing him bigger nowadays. There's no doubt about it.
He jumped on that pitch, turned around a 94-mile-per-hour fastball. We know Xavier Paul can do that. Ball was kicked out of the corner, and he slams on the brakes after thinking about going to third. It looked like Kadire almost stopped that ball with his foot.
He did.
As it was rattling around that corner.
Oh, you're allowed to do that. You're not allowed to throw your equipment at it. Couldn't throw his glove at it, so he was afraid that he'd put his hand or his glove down there. Maybe that ball would just squirt by him. So a kick saved by the right fielder. And Xavier Paul picks up Chris Byer, who's got the brakes on. And so stay right there, young man. Got the top of the order coming up.
All right, chance for Chu. 1 of 3 in the game. He doubled to left center field in the Reds' first. He has since bounced to second and popped up to left field. Ball 1.
I think that was a good move, and I said it before it happened, but you know, you always try to match up as best you can, and that doesn't always mean your pitchers against the other team's hitters. Sometimes it's your hitters against their pitchers. And Xavier Paul being a good fastball hitter comes in there to face a guy who's going to throw a lot of heaters.
And there's a base hit into center field. They're going to hold the runner at third base. Well, maybe Paul got a bad jump at second base. I mean, the play was right there in front of him. They weren't overplaying anybody.
He was coming around third like he thought he was going to score. That's a good jump. I mean, you know what? He stopped. It looked like he took 2 steps and then looked over his right shoulder. Dexter Fowler's got a decent arm, and he one hops the catcher with it. So the Reds are going to need to do something to get the ball out of the infield to bring this run in.
Well, a 2-2 hit night, and here comes Cozart. Cozart has not hit the ball out of the infield tonight. Jim Wright, the pitching coach, will come out and visit with Escalona. The left-hander's getting ready for the guy on deck.
Had an interesting conversation with Jim Wright the other day that, you know, when the Rockies just first came in, he's broke into the major leagues right out of high school. He was drafted, and I think he was pitching with the Phillies organization, and he was coached in spring training by Jim Bunning. But yes, the congressman and the senator Jim Bunning. And he said he learned more about pitching from Jim Bunning than anybody else anywhere along the line. And it was the simplest thing you ever saw. And Jim Bunning's philosophy was, you throw every pitch you have for a strike, all game long. Never try to miss the strike zone. Always got tired of guys messing around and nibbling here and there. Of course, Bunning wasn't a nibbler.
No, he was definitely not. That would be HOF, Jim Bunning.
Yes, you're right about that. Rockies will play the corners even with the bag. They'll go for the double play ball with the Keystone duo there close to the bag and double play depth. Those are looking for something to lift. Walt Weiss knows full well the shutdown capability of the Reds bullpen.
One and 0 to Cozart, and he rolls over and foul. It's big at bat here for Cozart. He failed to move a runner over back in the opening inning after Chu had led off the game with a double. Look who's getting ready. Sam LeCure, not Jonathan Broxton. One and one on Cozart. Doesn't chase a breaking ball, down and away. 2-1 to Zach. Reds have not led the entire night. Colorado scored 3 in the second inning. Reds got one of those back in the bottom of that inning before tying the game in the fourth. Pinch hit double by Paul. He's held at third on a single to center by Chu. And now Cozart trying to give the Reds a lead. You're not allowed to do that anymore. That'll bring in the go-ahead run. You're not allowed to do the fake to third, fake to first anymore.
Well, it took longer into the season than I thought to finally see somebody who forgot that they changed the rule. No one told Edgemere Escalona. Well, up until this year, this move was permitted. It was not a balk. You fake to third, throw to first, or not throw to first. But they took that rule off the books.
So now Chu in scoring position, and it's 2-1 on Kozai. And a bluff throw back to second base. Of course, Ted Barrett talked about this with you during spring training this year, this new rule.
He did. He covered it. Everybody around baseball was made aware of it. And some people maybe just forgot. How about we hear Ted Barrett explain it?
Pitcher would come set with a runner at first and third base. He would step toward and fake to third base and then turn around and throw to first to get that runner. Can't do that anymore. All right, so now third base is just like first. You're not allowed to fake there. So if I come set and I fake a throw to third base, that's going to be a balk. All right? Third base is now just like first. You have to step to and throw to first base. You're not allowed to fake there. Now you have to step to and throw to third base. You're not allowed to fake there anymore. One thing you can do, which hasn't changed, you can step off and now you can fake. You can still fake a throw to second base without throwing, but no longer able to fake a throw to third base.
Boy, he breaks it down, doesn't he, Ted Barrett? But he makes it nice and clear. And every big leaguer out there ought to know the rule.
And there's ball 4, and that's going to be all for Mr. Escalona, you would assume.
You know, one other addendum to that, Tom, is that you can still do that rule in most levels of amateur baseball. Just not in professional ball, at least not in the major leagues. I don't think at any levels of professional ball. So that was the undoing for Escalona, and Walt White's going to come out and make a pitching change.
Josh Outman will come on to face a left-handed batting Joey Votto. Escalona gives up 2 hits and a walk. And so far, a run on a balk. This will be our Skyline Chili. Call to the bullpen. Back in a moment. In a 3-game series beginning June the 14th, presented by Butterfinger. Boy, one of those sounds good running right now, doesn't it? Those are sweet. For tickets, call 513-381-REDS or log on to reds.com/tickets. Butterfinger. You clowns threw away all those Mallow cups I had in here off the last homestand.
Was that your nickname back in Little League?
Yes, it should have been.
Josh Outman, the left-hander, he'll come in to face a couple of left-handers right here. Joey Votto and Jay Bruce back-to-back in this lineup with the absence of Brandon Phillips. Dusty's bunched the 2 lefties up. Fastball, slider, changeup.
Well, this was the guy, as Chris mentioned. I mean, he gave up a long one to Bruce last night. That's a pretty good little snap to that. Stayed up in a strike zone, but clearly Votto was not looking for that breaking ball and fooled him.
I think he hung it so high that he probably surprised Votto with it.
0-1 the count.
That's a better one. We talk about a guy who's a short armer. You just watch the way he gets his hand out of the glove. Just a real, I mean, he just gets it right out of his glove. No arm swing at all. Kind of throws like a left-handed catcher would. Think he's getting another slider here? Book it.
Well, that might be the conversation right now with Mr. Toriyama.
You know, and it's not a bad idea, really. I mean, if you're facing a guy who's good a hitter as Joey Votto, you just can't go with one pitch, even if it's a really good pitch, unless it's an Aroldis Chapman caliber pitch. But if it's just a decent left-handed slider, eventually Votto sees it enough. He's going to figure out a way to put the good wood to it.
Came back with another one and got him swinging.
Yeah, they were progressively better as the at-bat went along. The first one was a bad one. Second one was a pretty good one. This was a dandy. Started it on the corner and it just sliced away from him.
Now, with Brandon Phillips being out of the lineup, Dusty Baker has gone with Votto and Bruce back-to-back in the lineup. It's one of the reasons Dusty does not like to have the lefties hitting back-to-back under normal circumstances. This is a topic we talked about earlier in the game in reference to Bobby Cox, who never seemed to care.
Yeah.
But this is the reason why. Opponent brings in a left-hander to face Joey Votto. Under normal circumstances, you'd have a right-handed batter coming up now. But instead, it's back-to-back lefties.
Well, it's also another reason why a lot of managers would prefer to have a balanced bullpen, where they have 3 left-handers and 3, maybe 4 right-handers out of your 7 pitchers down there. Most closers are right-handed, so that's normally the given. Then you have 3 and 3 that you don't have to worry about when you're going to use your only lefty. Rockies do have 2 lefties down there.
2-0 pitch fouled away. We told you Bruce hit a ball 454 feet against Outman last night. Wilton Lopez is again throwing in the Colorado bullpen. Reds have broken a 3-3 tie on a balk. Fastball, strike 2 call.
Well, that's pretty good fastball there at 95. Nothing wrong with this kid's arm. That short arm action that he has reminds me a little bit of Billy Wagner. He had a very short arm action. He just get the ball right out of his glove just like that.
You're right.
Get the benefit of a couple of inches off the outer plate.
Fouled back out of play. Jim Day, are you there?
I am here, boys. Talked to Brandon Phillips earlier today, and he actually is doing well at the plate. He can hit. In fact, he was hitting balls out of the park in batting practice today. He cannot field, but he said in an emergency situation or a strictly pinch hit role, he could hit tonight. I don't think it's going to happen, but if they need him, and it's not a double switch situation, he can hit.
Something to keep in mind. Breaking ball away, 3-2 to Bruce. So now the runners get started on a 3-2 pitch with 2 men out. Struck him out on another slider. That's good work by Outman. Reds take advantage of a balk, and we go to the 8th. Reds lead for the first time tonight. Reds 4, Colorado 3. Top of the order coming up in the 8th inning. Well, you know what a lot of Reds fans are saying right now, Chris. The 8th inning, when the Reds are leading, is normally reserved for Jonathan Broxton. Not tonight.
Well, Sam LeCure has been so dependable. I mean, can you blame Dusty Baker for going with the hot hand? And we don't know. Maybe Jonathan Broxton's got some kind of soreness or something going on that we don't know about. A lot of times that happens. When we talk about why isn't a certain pitcher in a ball game, we find out later that so-and-so wasn't available. And that may be the case. But Sam LeCure, he's not only available, he is dependable. As that 1.1 earned run average will show you. There's Broxton down in the bullpen.
So Sam LeCure to face Fowler, LeMahieu, and Gonzalez. Fowler tonight 1 of 3, knocked in a run in the 2nd inning. Homer Bailey, if the bullpen can nail this thing down, would be in line now for the win, since the Reds scored in the bottom of the 7th inning, and he pitched well enough to earn a win tonight. 7 innings of 6-hit 3-run baseball. All 3 Colorado runs. 4 of their 6 hits came in the 2nd inning tonight. Bailey punched out 7 and walked only 1. Fly ball into left field. Initially going back, Lutz now sprinting in to get it. 1 out. Pirates and the Braves are tied at 4. That game in the top of the 8th inning in Atlanta. Boy, and Arizona keeps scoring and the Cardinals keep scoring. Diamondbacks 6, St. Louis 4. They're only in the bottom of the 5th. That's a matchup of division leaders in that 4-game series there. Of course, the Giants came into St. Louis over the weekend, had it handed to them. They got beat 2 out of 3. Including a doubleheader sweep in which the Giants scored 1 run in the 2 games. Diamondbacks got beat in the opener last night. They're 2 games better than the defending world champs in the West going into play tonight. 0-2 on LeMahieu. LeCure the pause, and now the 0-2 pitch. Oh, man.
Oh. How do you take that pitch?
That's a good pitch, man. Going out there again. Strike 3 call. Well, once more we tell you about Fox Sports Ohio giving you an exclusive opportunity. On June 18th, you can sit in the Fox Sports Ohio Champions Club for $80. That's all the food you can eat in there, along with non-alcoholic beverages all night long. Go to Reds.com/FSOhio and use the code FSCLB8 and get your tickets for the June 18th game, but you got to do it tonight with that promo code FSCLB8. 2 down for Carlos Gonzalez. And here's where the absence of Sean Marshall again continues to come into play for this Reds team. Because undeniably in a one-run game, Sean Marshall would be in to pitch to Gonzalez.
And maybe that's why Sam LeCure is in here right now. The best bet to get a left-hander out with that little front door fastball that he throws to the first base side of home plate. Although in this case, late in the ball game, one-run game, you see this happen with a lot of closers and a lot of setup guys, that they would rather challenge a guy like Carlos Gonzalez on the outer part of the plate. We saw that for years with Francisco Cordero. He would never pitch inside for fear of making a mistake on the inner part of the plate and having a guy unjamming for a home run.
Which is what happened to Broxton the other day. Tried to throw that cutter on the inside corner to Garrett Jones, and it never cut until it landed in the river. There you see, fastball away. Really not sure how much time Marshall is going to miss. I mean, there are varying reports, and nobody's saying really a whole lot of anything. 2-1 to Gonzalez. Got him a chase.
It's hard to estimate how much the movement on Sam LeCure's fastball really is. I mean, look at that ball. It's like a left-handed slider.
LeCure has not been bashful about it. He has said every step of the way his goal is to continue to work himself into positions where he is pitching in more meaningful and more meaningful and more meaningful games. Spot starter when he came up, hung around as a long man, did a nice job. Basically your fourth right-hander down in that bullpen last year, and as the season went on, he always delivered. 2-2 pitch, and he just missed. Boy, that is one tight zone back there here tonight in the 8th inning.
Well, it looks like it's getting tighter as the game goes on. Sometimes you throw a pitch so good that it looks better than it really is. That ball never really did come back and cut the plate. You see Brian Hannigan tried the little frame action.
That's a good call.
Yes, it was.
Three and two. LeCure trying to put away Gonzalez and the Rockies here in the 8th inning. And tried the breaking ball again, and it missed way inside. So he walked Gonzalez.
Well, one thing's certain than that at bat for Sam LeCure. He was not about to make a mistake to Carlos Gonzalez that was going to cost this ball game. He'd rather take his shot with a right-hander up there.
And that right-hander will be Tulowitzki, who has 12 home runs and 43 runs batted in. Now Brian Price on the horn down to the bullpen. You've got righty, righty, lefty. Manny Parra, the left-hander, getting loose. First two retired here in the 8th inning. Then a walk to Gonzalez. He's a tying run over at first. And he's fallen behind 2-0.
At least put Tulowitzki in the driver's seat. You have to assume, given his power, that he's got the green light if he wants to wail away on a 3-0 pitch.
Yes.
I mean, that's what you have to assume if you're Sam LeCure.
Riano to count on Tulowitzki, and LeCure the pause, and here it comes. And it's on the inside corner. That location he's not going to hack.
No.
Hear that adage all the time about one pitch, one zone, and let her rip. The same applies now for 3-1 on Tulowitzki. Reds lead by a run. 1 on, 2 out. We're in the 8th inning. 3-1 pitch. Fouled back out of play. LeCure has come back from down 3-0 to 3-2. Hit hard into deep left field, and it is gone. A 2-run home run by Tulowitzki, and Colorado has recaptured a lead. It is 5.
Fan interference.
Wait a minute now. Let's hold on to third base umpire. Lance Barksdale is walking in to talk to the home plate umpire.
He did it right away. I mean, he looked out there and he saw the fan and the ball converge out there, and he immediately threw his hands together and held them over his head, and that's fan interference. Of course, this is a reviewable call. We'll get the first look. Well, he just made a mistake there. That ball was up and out of the zone. Tulowitzki hacks high on it, and a nice backhanded catch, but
yeah, they're not going to overrule that. That ball clearly would have sailed over that. Now, would it have hit the padding and come back into play? There's a chance, but it's over the yellow line.
Yeah, the fan interference is when a fan reaches into the field of play and interferes with a ball that would not have gone out of the ballpark, and he'd be grab it and take it out of the ballpark.
Well, this is the first time all year long LeCure has let him down. Unfortunately for the Reds, it's on the heels of the Broxton home run, which he gave up to Garrett Jones.
Well, that's about as good a look as we're going to show you right here. Now, the question the umpires are going to have to answer is, would that ball have gone out of the ballpark had that fan not reached over and made the catch?
I think the one thing you have to look at that replay after watching it now 3 or 4 times, we stopped it when the ball was already in the fan's glove, and basically gravity was bringing, and the momentum of the ball bringing his glove down around that yellow line. If you actually look at where the
Sam LeCure's not thinking about where that ball ended up and whether it's fan interference. He's thinking about how did Troy Tulowitzki take that pitch that was up in his eyes and line it out of here.
And there's what we're talking about, where the ball, the trajectory of the ball, they're not overruling this.
No.
It's too bad. But you're still down a run. You got 2 more cracks at him. Tell you what, you look at both 3-2 pitches. The 3-2 pitch to Gonzalez, where Hannigan was set up, where the ball ended up being. The 3-2 pitch to Tulowitzki, where Hannigan was set up and where the ball ended up. Not where Sam wanted to get it. But it's hard to find any quarrel with the job LeCure has done so far this year. 0-2 on Kadire. Just not tonight. You can tell he's very upset about it. I think every one of his teammates, quite honestly, are stunned. The closest thing to about as good as it gets the Reds have had in their bullpen this year has been LeCure. And everybody sooner or later is just going to have one of those off nights. He doesn't need me alibiing for him. That's just the truth. I think your teammates get used to seeing every time you come in, the other team's just making a lot of outs. Two and two on Kadire. Reds in the bottom of the 8th inning. We'll have Frazier, Lutz, and Hannigan. Now remember, the Rockies are without their closer, Rafael Betancourt. He just recently went on the disabled list. So they're going to be giving guys a chance or put into a save situation tonight that have not been there all year long. Popped up. And this will end the inning, but damage done by Tulowitzki. A 2-out, 2-run home run to give Colorado a 1-run lead. Balk was called, giving the Reds a 4-3 lead. That rule change was made during the offseason where you couldn't do that fake to third, fake to first thing anymore.
You know, all Edgemere Escalona has to do is tune in a little bit early and pick up Reds Live during the month of June, and he will be schooled on all the rules. In fact, even the new rules. And that won't happen to him again. Sam LeCure hopes that what happened to him against Troy Tulowitzki doesn't happen again. The 2-run homer, the deciding factor in this ball game. Matt Belisle. Can you believe that Matt Belisle has been around for 11 years?
Well, I'm not sure what I believe more, that he's been around 11 years or the absolute remarkable turnaround that has been his career since he walked out of the door from Cincinnati and stepped into Colorado.
Now, when he walked out of the door in Cincinnati, that was in 2008. And his earned run average was 7.28. In 2009, it got a little bit better in Colorado at 5.52, but it has been down to low 3s, high 2s ever since. I mean, he's remade himself.
I was looking at the numbers before the game today. I mean, especially where he pitches at mile-high altitude, he has been as dependable and really as productive.
Well, he throws a lot of strikes.
Yeah. I mean, he has become a very good reliever. 1 out.
A lot of toothpicks in the infield.
Now, what do you see differently about Matt Belisle than when the Reds have him?
I think it comes with confidence and the fact that he's able to get his breaking ball over the plate. I think that first of all, he's one of the nicest kids you'd ever meet in your life. I mean, a hard worker, the kind of kid you'd like to marry your daughter. I mean, that's how Matt Belisle is. But he lacked a little confidence. Every time he'd get knocked down a little bit, he wondered if he really had a good enough stuff to be in the major leagues. And he just didn't have the kind of persona that he could just slough off a bad outing and go get him the next day like nothing happened. He carried that weight with him. And I think he's figured out now that it doesn't do you any good. You've got to have a short memory, especially as a reliever. That and the fact that he's able to get his breaking ball over the plate.
Well, Donald Lutz has seen nothing but breaking balls ever since he hit that fastball. 8 miles foul. Down the right field line, going all the way back to the 6th inning against Nicasio. And he's not hit any of those sliders since then. He struck out twice. Well, Hoover, should they be tied? Should they be down? Chapman, should they get the lead? That one into left field. Gonzalez over to cut it off. And the tying run aboard on a 1-out single from Donald Lutz. Straight away center field, hit well. Fowler at the warning track makes a catch, and where is Donald Lutz going?
Completely has no idea how many outs there are. Man, oh man, oh man.
We go to the ninth. Colorado leading 5-4.
single by Donald Lutz, a fly ball, a long fly ball by Ryan Hannigan. Lutz evidently forgot how many outs there were. Either that or he thought that ball was going out of here. And it was caught at the wall by Dexter Fowler, brought in, and an easy double play to end the inning. And a tough way to end the inning when you are the tie runner on base. So that's where we are in the top of the ninth. Boy, nowhere to hide if you're Donald Lutz.
No.
And it happens. I mean, sometimes you have a brain hiccup. Maybe trying to do too much right there. But nonetheless, Reds are down by 1, and J.J. Hoover is in the ball game for Sam LeCure.
LeCure, 1 inning, 1 hit, 1 walk, 1 strikeout, 2 runs. 2-run home run surrendered to Troy Tulowitzki. So Helton, Torrealba, and Herrera. Helton swung so hard his helmet fell off.
He used to do that rather often.
Like Arizona's getting a taste of what St. Louis has been doing to everybody seemingly every night. Arizona still with a 1-run lead in that game in the bottom of the 6th inning, but you see the Cardinals have 2 on. Every time Arizona opens up daylight, the Cardinals will get it back to a 1-run game. They're up 4-1, went to 4-3, went to 6-3, now 6-5. Two-1 on Helton. Count even. If you're looking ahead of the bottom of the 9th inning, the Reds will have Cesar Izturis leading things off. On their bench available are Jack Hanahan, Derek Robinson, Devin Mesoraco, and perhaps Brandon Phillips. Fly ball into left. 1 out. Rex Brothers, a left-hander, is getting loose in the Colorado bullpen. And here's Torrealba. Brothers is the only Colorado reliever other than the currently disabled Rafael Betancourt, who has a save on this Colorado staff. One and one to Torrealba. Fastball, and that didn't miss by much. The Boston Red Sox tonight have scored 17 runs against the Texas Rangers. Batting in the bottom of the 8th inning, leading 17-5. Mercy. Is Turris picking and throws him out. Of course, tomorrow the series finale, and coming off a spectacular outing, 8 innings of 1 hit shutout baseball, will be Johnny Cueto. Boy, how good has he been since coming off the disabled list? That game the other night was unbelievable.
Yeah, he was lights out.
And were it not for a call that, quite honestly, just didn't go his way, he could have easily been going to the mound in the 9th inning working on a no-hitter.
It means a lot to this pitching staff, I'll tell you that.
One and one on Herrera. Herrera got Colorado on the board back in that 3-run second inning against Homer Bailey. With runners at second and third, he whacked a double into right field down the line, and later scored himself on a hit by Fowler. Bunts it straight up in the air over the mound, and that will be a bunt single. A 3-hit night for Jonathan Herrera.
A double to right, a single to left, and this 64-degree wedge.
Eric Young will now be the batter. He doesn't go by Eric Young Jr., but many of you will remember his daddy, who was a mighty fine player in the big leagues for a long time. Of course, he was in the original Colorado Rockies opening day lineup going back to 1993. His father we're talking about, of course. That was back on April the 5th at Shea Stadium in New York. He was there. First ever batter in franchise history was Eric Young. And of course, after they opened the season, they came back home and played at then Mile High Stadium. The Rockies' first ever game in the Mile High City was on April the 9th of 1993. 80,227 fans were there. 80,000. And leading off the bottom of the first inning, it was Eric Young against Kent Bottenfield with a home run. How about that?
Has a short porch there down Mile High Stadium.
His name forever etched in Rockies lore. Young gone swinging to end the inning. All right, here we go. Bottom of the 9th inning is Turris, a pinch hitter, then Chu. Reds down a run. Off Sam LeCure, giving Colorado this 1-run lead. We mentioned their closer on the disabled list, so their closer for now is the left-hander Rex Brothers.
He picked up his only save of the year earlier this year, actually in late May the 22nd, against the Arizona Diamondbacks. That was after their normal closer, Rafael Betancourt, had pitched 3 consecutive days. So Walt Weiss could not go to him one more day in order to try to finish off the series. It was a 2-game series against the Diamondbacks that they ended up sweeping, that they needed this guy to come in and get the save. So a left-hander will face a switch hitting Derek Robinson.
So Robinson to bat for his Tourists. And for the time being anyway, that's Devin Mesoraco down there in the on-deck circle. Pitcher spot due up next. Robinson recently had 3 consecutive starts on a just completed road trip. And swung the bat pretty well, primarily from the right side of the plate. Well, that's too easy there. 1 out. A Nissan drive of the game. What else would it be? Sure wanted it down and away and wound up and in, and up and away it went. So now Mesoraco, he's played the role of hero this year in the 9th inning when he hit that home run off Craig Kimbrell to tie the game, and then Shin-Soo Choo, the very next batter, hit a home run to win the game. Two and 0 the count on Mesoraco. Bilal goes an inning, allows a hit. No runs. A little bit tardy on that fastball, and that's got a little hair on it. 94 miles an hour from Brothers.
Yeah, both the lefties that they brought in out of that Colorado bullpen have come in there throwing mid-90s.
No, you mentioned earlier about Bo McLaughlin being at Lipscomb College. Yeah, same place this young man came out of. 2-2 the count. Brothers makes his home now in Chapel Hill, Tennessee, after growing up in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Herrera's got it, and the Reds are down to their final out of the night. Well, if they're unable to do it, this would be a loss for the 2nd time in 3 days that you felt like you should have had. Game on Pittsburgh clearly on Sunday, and a 1-run lead going into the 8th inning tonight, and both times on home runs. But Choo the batter. Strike 1. This ought to do it. Rockies win. getting 2 on the home run by Tulowitzki in the 8th inning. A final count of 5-4. So they'll play the rubber game of this series tomorrow. And we'll have it for you right here on Fox Sports Ohio. Reds Live getting underway at 6:30. Our game coverage beginning at 7. And we'll look forward to seeing you then. Time now for Reds Live.